District commissioners who are here, headed by my brother Honorable Nok, the officials from the ministry, the LC5 chairman of Agago, and dear participants. Good evening. I wasn't given specific thing to speak about, but as you are making presentations here, I felt there is something I can share with you. I have worked, I'm now 50 years, and in my 50 years, I have worked for the last 30 years with NRM government. So I really know quite a lot. And of those years, most of the years I have worked in Acholi sub-region. When we started mobilization with Honorable Nok and others, I don't know whether you remember the other people we started with. Patrick Okumo, Upia Teker, who is the LC5 chairman of Gulu, Ukao Douglas Peter, LC5 chairman of Omoro. You come, there is something why I'm calling him. We were very few. And I remember Kidega Dan. We were few in an environment which was very hostile. 99.9% of Acholi was negative to government of NRM. But we sacrificed our youthful life to stand in for the truth. The person who trained us into mobilization was Muzee Peter Odok Woduching. I don't know whether you remember. Yeah. When I came from the university, first, the cadres of NRM we used to have, you can sit. The cadres of NRM we used to have in Acholi were from the military wing. The late Ochora, the late Julius Oketa, General Otema, the Chief Justice now, Owen Dolo, Mego Bigombe, Okot Jacob Aleng. The majority were from the military. And their approach to politics was different. Now, when we came, we were the new breed, but majority of our members were not the people who had gone to universities. So I remember every time the opposition would call for a political rally, Igulu, Kaunda ground. I remember, I don't know whether you recall, you have Olanya Jacob, you have Okumurigan, you have Mao, you have Angoma Benego, you have Okelo Kelo, you have Olum Zakaria. Now you Nyego Michael Uchula. Now you see that, and then our side, Toodwong, no. Now that was the challenge. A van. I want you to see where we started from. Until because those ones would speak, and they would even conclude their speeches with the funeral songs to completely intensify their negative messages to the miserable people. But there was one man, I don't know whether you recall, the late Major Okot we late. That man was special to me. So when we came, we asked Muzee Peter Odok, who was the RTC of Gulu. We asked him that we as young cadres of NRM, we just want to be part of your team for mobilization. We volunteered. I was in my second year at the university, and I came and joined my brothers here. We started mobilizing with Odok Woducheng, moving in the camps. By that time, there were camps all over Acholi sub-region. That was in '97. And Okot Wilit would speak for 2-3 hours. And it would make a lot of sense. When I came, I was told Laboduong is near here. Because the story of Wilit would start from the issue of Laboduong. When he starts explaining good politics versus bad politics. And how he joined the Liberation War in 1978. How they were trained in Laboduong to go and revenge on the population of West Nile. Because they were assuming that the President Idi Amin, being from West Nile, was intentionally killing Acholis and Langis. Therefore, during the government of Acholis and Langis, they were trained to go and revenge on who? West Nile. For you who are old enough, you remember that. You remember? Yes. I remember I was a young man in Anaka. Lorries would come from here ferrying people down tribes against tribes. They went. When they heard that Museveni went to the bush in Luero, they were carried from West Nile to the Avo. I'm speaking because I was a commissioner reviewing the constitution of Uganda. So we were in Luero sub-region one time, and we were moving to sub-counties like this sub-county head office. Those atrocities were happening within the Gombola areas, Gombola chiefs areas. You find a sub-county office where there is a massacre, a grave, and then a writing on the rig of the wall, remember Okelo from Gulu, remember Okoyara from Kidgumatidi. Those writings are there. Those writings are there. Now, I am introducing you to the thinking of NRM, because that was how deep-rooted, divided Uganda was. Now, when NRM came, we in the north will receive NRM with war, and we did not understand the ideology of NRM. And so we continued in war for more than 15 years, up to 2007, that the camps were dismantled and people went back home. So almost more than a half of the time of NRM, we were in war. We did not understand the preachings of NRM. We were appreciating NRM through security and nothing else. Are we together? Yes. And because of our situation, we were in camps, there was too much poverty, we left our land, people were dying, a lot of sicknesses, there was nothing. Definitely, the population would feel agitated and bitter. Now that was the time we joined mobilization. We were mobilizing the people who felt bitter to tell them that the government you are very bitter against loves you. Now imagine the dilemma. You are telling somebody who hates NRM that NRM is good. I remember one time we were walking in Gulu town with Honorable Dan Kidega. We were wearing NRM t-shirts, yellow, very yellow, with the President Museveni's poster. We went to the main market intentionally to provoke the people. We were almost lynched in Gulu town. There was an old woman who ran after us from the market and held our hands and said, "Whose children are you? You are very stupid. Go and remove these t-shirts." And because you could not walk with NRM. You could not walk with NRM t-shirts in Gulu town. That was how hard it was. But we understood, that period, the situation was bad. The population was not settled. Everything was upside down. Because of what? War. But over the years, the situation improved. I need to thank UPDF and all those in uniform that the situation in northern Uganda has changed. We left the camps, went back home, found our home state, and started renovating our destroyed homes. And doing stock of what remained of each and every family. Now, rebuilding a population that went through what we went through. If it was another tribe, or another group of people, it will be very difficult. But the Acholis, you have a very good spirit of resilience. One, during Amin's time, you suffered. During our own government, we suffered. During Obote too, we suffered. The beginning of NRM government up to 2007, we suffered. And therefore, the remains of what we have is what we are trying to build. Are we together? Yes. And that brings me to the thinking of NRM that we should copy. Going forward, how should we think? Going forward, how should you rebuild yourself and build your family and build your environment and build your district? Romo katika je notika gamo guvu. Guvu niti kwene. Guvu niti kwene. In terms of wealth, we are the poorest. In terms of health, kumdano lirata. In terms of anything, we are at the bottom. Now, if you are a leader and you are leading a population, that is at the bottom of the pyramid, you need to change your strategy. The strategy you change is that a leader should think differently from the masses. And that is why this training is very important for you leaders. The president keeps saying, we are social doctors. Being a social doctor means, as a cadre now, trained cadre, tomorrow you're going back to your home. And I'm sure you have been given critical tools of analysis. Is it? Just go to your home, enter your home, scan through the home, you'll see problems immediately as a leader. Are we together? Yes, sir. Now that problem, you as a leader, because of this training, your approach to resolve that problem should be different from the approach you used to have before you came for this training. Are we together? Yes, sir. You need to have that mindset of seeing opportunities in problems. Man is constantly struggling with nature. God created us in a way that there is a constant struggle. That there is a constant struggle between man and nature. The Bible says you should have dominion over what? But nature also lives. Are you aware that nature survives and lives? You know that? Lum en kay ngaro tui dokakare. Yen en kay ngaro lot dokakare. Kuyum ka koro chwe mol. That is how nature interacts. In you, the human being, the living things, inyal, idon, it owe to some stage, ito, litini mete, likwe mete, gidon, it's a constant. And as you live, as you grow, you use nature to improve your conditions. You harness nature to improve your conditions. Now, these are things Makano take chawa malachi. These are things in Chankwanza we teach for 3 months. And then we take you through the stages of social evolution. How society changed over time. Did you go through that? From the primitive stage, slave trade period, the feudal system, the pre-capitalist system, and the capitalist system. You missed out that. If Odaok was here, he would have taken you through that. And he would have taken you through tools of analysis. Now, these are deep-rooted philosophical issues in leadership. That as a leader, you should know that situations are always permanent. But you, as a human being, It is how you run around a problem that changes that problem. So when we speak about poverty, I want to give you an example. I have worked and lived in this area and I've been a leader here. Dano wani kagi lutela biru chokwet gi dano kogi loke. Tomorrow you are going to Nwoya, my district. Nwoya was the poorest in the sub-region. Do you know why you are going there? It is partly because of the work I did when I was a member of parliament for only one term. What did we do? One, unuwati ite amor. Joma aga moro tikwega. Unen game, inen one game. Amor liep chelo kalar. When I was a presidential advisor for Northern Uganda, and I started monitoring government projects in Amoro, I realized leadership of Amoro were living in Gulu town, and the district was abandoned. Am I correct or I'm correct? Because you have no option. The district was abandoned. One day I went to the district head office. I know DL, the office Bakau. DL, man. Take a lady with this Bakau. And then there was an old man, a retired teacher, who pension, who very reform in him up. There was nobody in the district. And then I went and looked for these leaders. I watched again, Pingo Kong Pitutunu. I don't know any more go. Ukop district head office either you loyal or you are naga kamotuaro we erekati. Pero jala chubu dut goku yue. Goku era. Wa yelo kado degba. We ana mwek Nwoya gikumu. We ana ti kum Nwoya. Me dong Nwoya. And that was what I did. Nwoya did not qualify to even have a district. Why? Because in population we were the least. In terms of anything, we didn't even qualify. But we lobbied, and Nwoya was granted a district status with less than 30,000 people. 30 what? We were only having 24,000 voters. The population was about 48,000 by that time. I was elected a member of parliament. I went to my district chairman. What was his name? His legs were like this. He was in DP, he was in FDC. He was too much a political thing. I told him, Oriama, local politics, pewa mere Nwoya. Donc, yerwa wati lotela, kwan kala ni me politics pa chen wa mak teach. An la NRM, NRM teach pilwak. What should we do? The first, mobilizing luakwa. Jo matiki ngom madon. Magi pegi keur me dongone. They should accept investors. Wachia both family pa Alexander Latim, both family pa this man Onego Bell, both family pa Wilson Lutara. Jo matiki ngom madon. Wami ni brief only. By that time, Zimbabwe unoriemo white farmers wekuno. Mugabe oriemo white so. Jone kitika yenye ngom mefu ngom peke Africa. Kupini Uganda wami why bin ngom tiboro Nwoya gani. My role as a leader was to mediate the agreement, to make sure ni in pay charungumi and you have leased it, and your dividends in the investment is the land, and you have shares in the investment. That was what we did to our people. Because of that. Now the second phase, we realized commercial farmers were not helping the community much. And they are business oriented. Come on, go. But there was one advantage. Gitiga mi teach kidano, gukelo tractors, gitiga funyo letiano do a tractor. Dili ubu nena anyira Nwoya, anyira magitiga ngweki tractor madon, mamuko ene begun pio neno ge. Anyira matiga ngwekere. Kifunyiga funya. dongi fur ki tractor. But we realize ni community getting a suffering. So we're just mobilizing these commercial farmers. Ni part of your seeds mamuno peroni ki fertilize about you kerne komi mo kene ki community. You as part of social responsibility. Down down. That is the story of Nwoya. The third stage, there was an NGO, no mobilizing village saving groups, but do anta, bolicho, come on go, and on no chilling pekebodi. Down saving chilling from January, kikonye la wala, yuuru, mechamo uuru, Nwoya, she's part of this story. Kigonye la wala October mechamo uuru, burchiling mudong igonye December mechamo karama, burchiling mudong karachano wa gor lieli Acholi meto January i oro i kero chile gor liel. Duema rio duema det no kotika biuno chene pe le tino tika dog school chene pe back to square one. Won't come. Level me Nwoya Acholi is because of poor planning. Down kero chilling on. Pay it down pay chilling, down to shilling. A bit tipsy, then I finish this area.